Arrival to Samar. At dawn on Saturday, March 16, 1521, we came upon a highland at a distance of 300 leagues from the islands of Ladroni, Samar. The following day, the Captain General desired to land on another island which was uninhabited in order to be more secure, get water and have some rest. On Monday afternoon, March 18, we saw a boat coming toward us with 9 men in it. When those men reached the shore, their chief gave signs of joy because of our arrival. When they saw the captain's courtesy, they presented fish, a jar of palm wine which they call arak, figs more than 1 palm long bananas, and others which were smaller and more delicate, and 2 coconuts. Those people became very familiar with us. They told us many things, their names and those of some of the islands that could be seen from that place. Their own island was called Zuluan. The islands where we were is called Humuno, now Humonhon, but we called it Aquada Dalibono Signal, the watering place of good signs, because we found 2 springs there of the clearest water. There are many islands in that district and we call them the archipelago of San Lazaro. As they were discovered on the Sunday of St. Lazarus, we found a great quantity of white coral there, and large trees with fruit of trifles smaller than the almond and resembling pine seeds. There are also many palms, some of the good and others bad. Archipelago of San Lazaro lie in 10 degrees of latitude toward the Arctic Pole and in a longitude of 161 degrees from the line of demarcation. At noon on Friday, March 22, those men came as they had promised us in 2 boats with coconuts, sweet oranges, a jar of palm wine, and a cock. Their senior was an old man who was painted.
On the afternoon of Holy Monday, the day of Our Lady, March 25, while we were on the point of weighing anchor, I went to the side of the ship to fish. That same day was shape our course towards the west-southwest between 4 islands, namely Senalo, Hinanghan, Ibuson, and Abarien. On Thursday morning, March 28, as we had seen a fire on the island the night before, we anchored near it. We saw a small boat which the natives call Boloto o Baroto, a slave belonging to the Captain General who was a native of Sumatra, spoke to them and they understood him. About 2 hours later, we saw 2 balanghay coming. They are large boats and they were full of men, and their king was in the larger of them, seated under an awning of mats. The slave spoke to him, and the king understood him. In the afternoon, we sent in the ships and anchored near the dwellings of the king. Next day, Holy Friday, the Captain General sent his slave, who acted as our interpreter, ashore in a small boat to ask the king if he had any food to have it carried to ship, and told him that we had come to the island as friends and not as enemies. The king embraced the Captain General, to whom he gave 3 porcelain jars covered with leaves and full of raw rice, 2 very large dorado, and other things. Then the Captain General had a collation spread for them, and had the king told through the slave, and he desired to be kasi-kasi with him, that is to say, brother. The king replied that he also wished to enter the same relations with the Captain General. One of the brothers of the king, also a king from another island, and 3 men came with us. The Captain General kept him to dine with us and gave him many things. He had 3 spots of gold on every tooth, and his teeth appeared as if bound with gold. He was stony and painted all over. That island of his was called Butuan and Calagan. The name of the first king is Raya Kulambo, and the second, Raya Siaoy.
The topic of preparation of First Christian Mass. The Captain General dispatched the priest and a few soldiers early on Easter Sunday, the final day of March, to set up the location where Mass would be performed. He also sent an interpreter to the king to inform him that we were not coming ashore to dine with him but rather to say mass. The king sent us 2 pigs that he had killed as a result. When the time for mass came, we descended with around 50 men, carrying our other arms but without our body armor. And just in our finest garb, 6 pieces were fired as a show of peace before our boats arrived at the shore. When we landed, the 2 kings placed the Captain General in the middle of them and gave him an embrace.
As part of the first Christian Mass, our offerings were made at the Mass. The monarchs approached the cross and kissed it, but they made no sacrifices. They remained on their knees and offered joined hands in worship as our Lord's body was raised. Some of our men partake in communion following the conclusion of Mass. The kings were thrilled when the Captain General organized a fencing competition. Then he had a cross, nails, and a crown brought in, and they all fell to their knees in respect.
We remained there for 7 days, after which we laid our course toward the northwest, passing among 5 islands, Ceylon, Bohol, Canighan, Baybay, and Gatighan. There is a distance of 20 leagues from Mazua to Gadighan. We set out westward from Gadighan, but the king of Mazua could not follow us. We awaited him near 3 islands, namely Pulo, Tikoban, and Puzon. The Captain General had him come into his ship with several of his chiefs, at which they were pleased. We go to Zubu from Gadighan, the distance to Zubu being 15 leagues.